Here we Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 14th edition of the Women Supporting Women series and part four of the special limited The Writers series here at Second Wind. My name is Nadine. I'm the founder of the Second Wind Facebook group for women empty nesters who are finding new purpose by reconnecting with their dreams and putting joy back in their lives after the children have left the nest. So, this afternoon, we continue to create a space for the writers of this community to share their beautiful stories, their gift of writing, and to actually entertain us with samples of their own literary work. The Writer Series is brought every Friday until February 27th, which is next week. And tonight, we have the pleasure of welcoming Angela DiCicco, the seasoned artist and, and author to this platform. So, Angela is a caregiver. She's an author, artist, and advocate. Her book, Better Than Before, One Couple's Journey After a Tragic Accident, highlights the caregiver side of tragic events that affect the family. Through her abstract art and authoring a book, Angela processed the myriad of emotions that she had after her husband's accident. Pouring her feelings on canvas and on the page, Angela found that others could relate to the angst and passion she expressed. Art and writing became her sanity in the daily maelstrom of chaos that she found herself in. So, Angela's mission is to educate others about living with a disability and offer hope to those who suffered a sudden tragedy or a marriage crisis. So, welcome to the Women Supporting Women platform,
Thank
Angela.
you. Thank you. I
I'm so
appreciate you
pleased.
having me.
Oh, yes, I'm so pleased to have you here to discuss your powerful book. It is a powerful book,
Thank you.
on the subject of caregiving, what it looks like on the other side of tragedy, right? So,
Yes.
Angela, to start off, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and what you do.
Well, I'm from Philadelphia, and although I lived in Maryland more than longer than I lived in Philly, those are my roots. I grew up in
Mhm.
a nice Italian neighborhood where everybody knew everybody, and it was a wonderful thing. And then I moved to Maryland. I have three kids. I have five grandkids. And in between all of that, I'm living my dream right now, really living the dream, writing and doing my art.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That sounds like such a rich life, it's beautiful. So how long, this is a community of empty nesters. So I must ask, how long have you been an empty nester? Angela, and what was the biggest challenge for you when you became one?
Yeah. Well, my husband and I got married later in life,
Mhm,
so my kids kept moving in and out, and then I was a caregiver for my mother. So
mhm,
she moved out. So it really wasn't until Arthur had his accident in 2015. So it'll be 11 years that we became empty nesters, moved into a two-bedroom condo. And
mhm.
that was the first time really that we experienced just living with the two of us.
Right.
But it didn't really hit me until I moved here to Annapolis, that my kids were really on their own and grown up, and I wasn't the main house, and I wasn't, the holidays, and I wasn't the house. They're very well established. So it's been a hard journey for me these
Mhm.
past 4 years coming to accept, the new place I have in their life.
Yeah, it's a different relationship, isn't it, now with the
It
children?
is.
Yeah,
It
it's
really
not
is.
do as I say anymore, is it?
Well, if it ever was, it's certainly not now.
Yeah. But yeah, you did tell me that for you empty nesting was sort of gradual, and that of course you couldn't really with what was going on in your life with Arthur's accident. It was your focus wasn't really on missing the kids, was it?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
exactly.
Yes. And in the meantime, they started having their own kids. So then that's a whole other layer.
Right.
And once we downsized, they have the bigger houses, so their houses became the main house, which is fine. They have wonderful holidays, but it's
Mhm.
been an adjustment for sure.
Ah, absolutely. So, tell us about how you discovered, like in the middle of all of that, how did you discover your gift of writing and what was your first experience with it?
Mm. Well, I read Little Woman in seventh grade.
Ah,
And
yes.
I decided that I wanted to be Joe, who was
Yes.
very independent and who became a writer. And she
Mhm.
worked for a magazine and I think she ultimately authored a book. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So that was in seventh grade. And I started journaling in seventh grade.
Mhm.
So that's really where my journal started. But I've always loved to write. I love doing essays. Well, a lot of people were complaining in high school, oh, you gotta write these essays. And I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
descriptive writing. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I've taken a lot of writing courses and things through my adulthood.
Mhm.
And, but when the accident happened,
Mm.
it really gave me a focus to publish a book that I thought would help other people.
Wonderful. You did tell me about a blog that you used to have. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I still have it. It's active. I just don't do it quite as often on the ItalianGrandmama.com.
Yeah, I love that. The Italian grandmama. That's I also love so much. So, better than before. One
Mhm.
couple's journey after a tragic accident is the title of your book that you published back in 2022. So tell us, how that, why that book is so important to you and why you wanted to write it.
After the accident, the night of the accident, it was obviously life-changing.
Hmm.
And in the medical field, things were happening so quickly that I couldn't keep up. And I didn't understand that drugs could affect my husband in the way that they did, and giving him hallucinations.
Hmm.
He was in the hospital, I don't know, Tuesday, Thursday to Tuesday, and they said, "Oh, which rehab do you want to send him to?" And I said, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
I don't I don't know anything about rehabs. There was a lot of responsibility on my shoulders in a very short period of time.
Hmm.
So my goal was always to help other people if they're ever in a tragic situation like this, perhaps know a little more than I did, or perhaps know more questions to ask than I knew to ask.
Yeah.
At the very least, to understand, I thought tragedy would bring us together, and it really blew us apart. So, through my experience, in the medical field, I wanted to help other people. And then the arc of us going through that tragedy and then coming out of it and being together for people to give hope.
Hmm. Yeah, I cannot imagine, that within a few days of such a terrible accident, that you're given, you're asked questions that you don't even understand what the heck is going on at that
That's
point.
exactly right. I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's
He
like
he
you
just
weren't
broke his back.
right, you were not educated on what to expect. It was just it is hard. It is I can imagine how that must have been. So, what do you hope to accomplish with this book? I mean, you've said that you wanted to share a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I really want to help anybody that I can help
Hmm.
through this, tragedy, because it's huge. It was huge. It was life-changing. I was literally, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this,
Hmm.
I was literally handed a book this thick, a tome of, like, read this. Like, here's everything you need to know about spinal cord injury.
Oh my goodness.
Time to read this. I don't even have time to think.
Right.
So, my goal is to let people know that there's hope, to let people know that the caregiver's side is very, very different than the side of the person that the accident happened to or the tragedy.
Hmm.
And most of the time, people are asking about the person that the accident happened to, but the caregiver has a side too. And
Yeah.
I remember going into a meeting during this time, and everybody's asking about Arthur. And Arthur, how's Arthur doing? How's Arthur doing? And I walked into this meeting, and this one elderly man
Hmm.
took a look at me. He opened his arms and he just gave me a big hug. And he said,
Ah,
"How are you?
you felt
How are
seen.
you?" I felt seen. I
You
felt
felt
seen. Even the doctors and nurses really weren't seeing me. They were obviously very focused on him. So anything that I can do to help people through these difficult challenges that we have in life, and it doesn't have to be a motorcycle accident. We go through challenges all the time.
Right.
Marriages go through challenges all the time. And
Right.
without my faith, I wouldn't have been able to get through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what was the hardest thing about your, decision to write that book? How did your husband feel about it?
I did talk to him about it. I told him I wanted to do this, and I did
Hmm.
have his support, and
Okay.
I did have him read it, every single chapter,
Hmm.
and ask him if I could put this in, if there's something you want me to take out.
Hmm.
I would say 99.9% of the book is as it was written. There were certain things he asked me not to put in,
Hmm.
but whatever I wrote, he didn't ask me to take out.
Hmm.
What was the hardest thing? I would say the hardest thing was really just to get started,
Okay.
to get all of the information together, to learn how to get a book published.
Right.
That's the big thing. How do you even do that?
Right.
And things have changed so much over the years that it's not like you can just get an agent and get your book published.
Right.
It's very different. So I had to do a lot of research.
When I spoke with you about that, you told me that you felt an obligation to write that book.
I felt like it had to come out. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just like I feel like the second book has to come out and I need to just do it. I
Yeah.
really felt like it had to be written. And I thought this really could be something that other people could look at and um, pick up a few tips,
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
know?
So, do you have a couple of passages that you might want to read for
Well,
us today?
I can read a short one. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
This is from the very beginning, the first night that it happened.
Okay.
And I was packing for our
Hmm.
trip to
Hmm.
go to Chincoteague. It was Thursday evening. In our bedroom, packing my cosmetics and toiletries, I'm as focused as a drill sergeant, lining them up, not wanting to forget anything, when my cell phone rings, startling me out of concentration. Caller ID shows it's my husband, Arthur. He usually calls to tell me he's on his way home and how much he's looking forward to see me. Hi, honey, I answer brightly. Hi, honey. Pause. I've been in an accident. Stop. I think I broke my back. Stop. It's 9 p.m., but it is no time at all because time has stopped. In those first few seconds, I know on a heart-searing, gut-wrenching level, I know it's true. He is speaking the truth, and it changes everything.
Oh my gosh. No, this is no, really chills, goosebumps. That's amazing.
Yeah, I
You
feel
were,
that way every time I read it. I feel like
yes,
I'm in that moment again.
yeah, because you were planning happiness. You
Happy.
were planning joy, and
Yes.
this happens. Oh my
Yes.
God. So tell us a little bit about the creative process for the book. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started with researching publishers. I started researching, do I want to do traditional publishing? Do I want to do a hybrid? Do I want to do a self-publishing? So I started looking at all these things. And as I said, they've changed through the years. So traditional publishing is not like it used to be where they write you a $25,000 check and
Yeah,
they're
right.
like, here, we're going to promote your book. They want to know how many followers you have, how many followers on Instagram, how many followers on, how much are you going to do to promote your book?
Mhm.
And they have a lot of rights. They get a lot more rights than you do when you're publishing your own book. So ultimately, I decided to self-publish.
Mhm.
And so I had to hire a writing coach because there were just things that I just didn't know. So I hired someone who's written multiple books and she's very well known.
Mhm.
And then I hired a graphic designer for the cover because although I'm an artist, this kind of art is not a skill set that I have. This is
Right,
graphic design.
right.
And I hired a formatter because while some people can do those kinds of things, they have skills. I do not have those skills.
Right.
So it was a process. This was part of the whole process. It's part of
Mhm.
the it's not really creating, but it is part of the whole creative process
It is.
because you can't get to the other end without all of this.
Exactly.
And I just took my journals and my notes and I just started writing.
Right.
And I
And a
learned a
lot of
few
research,
things,
like you said, a lot of research
a
to be able
lot
to.
of research.
Right.
Yeah. And then I learned a few things from my amazing editor and, from my coach. She said, do you want to write the book in first person or do you want to write it in third person? And I decided first person was much more powerful. I wanted
Oh,
to really, and I wanted to write it in the present. I could have also written it in the past, but I decided to write it as if it was happening
yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
every time you read it, it's happening now.
Exactly. And the goosebumps never end.
I cannot even read the chapter when I had to say goodbye to my mother. I cannot still read that chapter without crying. I
Right.
just can't.
Right. Oh, so so you mentioned, do you have plans for another book? I think you mentioned that you do, right?
Yes, and I have started the book. I have gotten lots and lots of feedback from this
Mm-hmm.
book because I tied all the loose ends up, but it was pretty abrupt because it took me so long to write the book. And people are like, no, we want to know the segue. We want to know. You can't just go from, hey, we're blowing apart to, hey, we're living together. We
Right.
want to know what happened and how
Happened.
did you come to that decision and, how did you manage to work things out? And I also want to write about the first year we were together
Mm-hmm.
because that was a year where, when we moved in together, I said, well, we'll try it for a year. We'll rent condo and see how it goes. And I realized that my goal for him was to teach him to be as independent as possible, to give him back his dignity and be
Hmm.
as independent as possible.
Yeah.
So for 16 months, he lived in a facility, 13 months. And so when he came out, he was waiting on, everybody was waiting on him. So he stood by the refrigerator and he said to me, can you get me a glass of water? And I said, here's a
Right.
glass and there's the water. So please help yourself. But it was those little tiny things. And
Right.
so I want to write about that and write about our process.
Right, because your approach was very pragmatic. I found, let's see, if we can, do this, let's try this for 12 months and see what happens. If we can, wow,
Yeah.
that's,
I didn't think about that at the time, but I am
Mhm.
pragmatic. In the end, I am, this is what we're working with. We're either going to stay together or we're going to split up. Let's figure it out.
And this is where your upcoming book,
Mm.
is very useful for crises in marriage, period. Let
Exactly.
alone, just, yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
because the things that, whatever problems you had before the tragedy, those
Mhm.
problems don't go away. They're still there. Whatever
Exactly.
relationship issues you had, they're still there. And then on top of it, you have another layer.
Mhm.
So all of those things, had to be worked out.
Mhm. So you are also an artist painter.
I am an artist. Yes, I am. There's one of my paintings. Let's see. Right
Okay.
there.
Yes, yes, the sailboats.
The sailboats. Yep, I've done a whole series of sailboats. Yeah.
Okay, other than your sailboat, what style, what do you usually paint? What?
Abstract art is mostly
Okay.
what I do. It's mostly what I started with, and it's what helped me get through the tragedy of Arthur's
Mhm.
accident because I could just slap paint on that canvas, and I did,
Mhm.
red and black and white. I was so angry. I was so frustrated, and I would just pour it out on canvas. And the most amazing pieces came out of it because they were so filled with passion.
Right.
And my daughter, who does not like abstract art, she's like, Mom, I don't understand your art at all.
Hmm.
But she looked at this piece that I had finished after Arthur's accident, and she said, I would hang that in my bedroom.
Wow.
And that just meant so much to me. So on one of their anniversaries, I gave it to her.
Oh, that's beautiful. But
Yeah.
I see the painting above you is blue. It's calm. So
Yeah.
much change. The emotions have settled.
Yes, you're right. And when I moved to Annapolis and started my series, that's exactly right.
Mhm.
Everything is calmer, the boats, the water, we're near water all the time. It is, it's a much more calmer place, certainly than I was 11 years ago.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. So how do you juggle your writing and your painting? It's
I do not do that very well. It's hard for me to juggle. Just like when my kids were little, some people can write a book, but I couldn't do it. I had
hmm
a real hard time juggling my focus. If
hmm
I'm focusing on this and my creative juices are going into my art, then I don't have a lot of creative juices for writing.
right.
So I haven't juggled it very well. So far, it's kind of been an either or situation.
hmm
But I need to resolve that this year because it's been 4 years since the last book was published, and I need to get this one finished.
Yeah. You and I, same situation. I published my book in 2022, and I'm in the
Yeah.
process of my follow-up.
I think part
Yeah,
of it is we know how much work is involved, and once you
a
get
lot of
into it,
work.
it's so much headspace. The
Yeah,
writing is work. I used to think writing like art. Art is work. I used to think it was fun. Writing is fun.
it is, but hard at the same time.
It's very hard. It's a lot of work, and I don't know that people really appreciate that.
Right.
Both of those creative processes are mental, a lot
Yes,
of mental and emotional work.
right. Absolutely. So, since this is, Second Win, a community of dreamers, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, how important do you think it is, Angela, to have dreams?
I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't. I really wouldn't. The life I'm living right now
hmm
are two lifelong dreams. Both my art, to be an artist and to be a writer, they both started in grade school.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So
Lucky
I
you.
am in my, what was that? I said,
Lucky you. People are still trying to figure out what their dreams are, and here you are.
yes, this is a lifelong dream.
hmm
And I knew that Sidney Sheldon wrote his first book in his 50s. And of course, Grandma Moses was what, 90 when she started painting. And so I always had hope. I always was like, that's okay. If it's not my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, I'm not dead yet. So there's always hope.
Yes, I like that. I'm not dead yet.
That is my mantra. I'm not dead yet. There's hope.
Absolutely. So, do you think that living your dream today, do you think you found your purpose, or do you think there's still more out there for you,
That's a
Angela?
good question.
Yeah,
I don't know if art and writing is my purpose as much as my dream and my passion.
right.
I feel like my purpose is to help other people, to share, whether it's sharing my art and maybe that brings them joy, or sharing
hmm
my writing, my process, my experience, strength, and hope.
hmm
Um, I think that's more my purpose, is really to help other people.
Oh, wonderful. So, if you could share then one piece of advice to the women of this community and to your friends who are here assisting you, what would be your advice?
Piece of advice. In life, I would say, yeah, keep having dreams, keep looking. For me, I need to have something to look forward to. Not everybody is like me, but
hmm
it could just be a little, let's go out to lunch with friends, or a little day trip, or a little, I think that's, to me, that's the key, is to always have something to look forward to, whether it's going to visit my kids
hmm
or watch a TV show with my husband. It doesn't have to be big,
hmm
but I think that's what gets us out of bed, is
Yeah.
that's the daily purpose. What's going to get me out of bed today? What do I have to look forward to? So that's what I
hmm
would say, is to always
Yeah.
have something.
I think since I've been since I was a kid too, goal setting has always been central in my life. I set goals. That's what gets me out.
Oh, thank you.
That's what sets
You're
me
the
out.
right person.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So wonderful. Well, it was a wonderful
Hey.
conversation. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing for us tonight.
Thank
But,
you.
but
Thank you
you
for
know,
having
but
me.
before
No,
we
I just
go,
sent you pictures. They're
uh-oh,
chewables.
I have
I
somebody.
have Tylenol. We're good on Tylenol. I
Oh
sent you
no,
two
Michelle, can
types.
you mute?
I just muted her.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry. I wish I knew I could have done that. I would have done that a few seconds ago, but I will be dropping Angela's contact information in the post of the replay so that anyone who has questions for Angela, she'll be more than happy to answer, wouldn't you, Angela? Especially
Absolutely.
those who
Absolutely.
are going through, who are relating right now. They may be caregivers now or may soon be caregivers. So we will do that. And I will also post this replay on our new YouTube channel. And I wanted to thank you, Angela, so much for being here tonight. And I wanted to also ask everyone who is here, come back next week because I will have another author. Her name is AJ Ellis Small, who has a pretty interesting story to relate to us as well. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week. Take care
Thank
of
you. And
yourselves.
thanks for this platform.
Oh,
Empty nesters, it's an important niche.
no, absolutely. And I will part with what I always say, keep dreaming, dreaming big.
That's right.
That's our motto at Second Wind.
That's
Thank you,
right.
everyone. Take care of
Thank you.
yourselves.
You take care.